episode of All Things Conflict with me, your host, Maria Arpa. Today's episode, we're taking a slight diversion from the sort of traditional kind of workplace leadership, business kind of mentality. And I'm going to introduce you to someone called Abdul Karim, who I've known for 3 or 4 years. And he's going to reintroduce us to the word mercy. So let's jump right in. Abdul Karim, how amazing that we're doing this. And you're over in New York, aren't you?
Yes, it's a pleasure, and yes, and the Big Apple again.
In the Big Apple. So lovely. So we've known each other a few years now, haven't we? Well, I can't remember how far it goes back, but it is a few years.
hmm Yeah,
And
about three.
yeah, 3, 4 years, something like that. I think it's maybe more. Anyway, doesn't really matter. We've known each other a few years, and we met in unusual circumstances, and but the friendship has been enduring, and I'm really happy about that. When I met you, I mean, we'll come on to your music in a bit, but your music is under the heading of the Man of Real, and that is who you are. You are real. And I love that. I just love that. I meet so few people who are that real. So yeah, I've got a lot of admiration for your journey, for your work, for what you're doing. And let's begin, if you don't mind, we'll begin with perhaps you could give us a little bit of background, from the Bronx onwards.
Okay, so born and raised in the Bronx, uh, Catholic school all my life. Youth was a complete athlete, basketball, football, baseball. Then had some, teenage years was a little shaky. Got involved with some street things, and then after that, I moved on to religion, and I became Muslim. Moved to California, lived there for about 5 years. In between that, I also visited Mauritania in Africa. Then moved back to New York for a period of years. Got remarried. I have 3 children that are not so young anymore. um, Also moved to Pennsylvania after that. I was an imam out there. Before moving there, I was an assistant imam in Mount Vernon. And so I've had a span from athletics to academics, which in that time span, I was on the honor roll. I did a little college, was on the dean's list, then learning spirituality. And like I said, that little stint of a street life of getting, as I say, I was allowed to dance with the devil and get out of the club before they locked the doors. So that was a blessing to experience and get out of. And now we're here, and at a period of growing and starting Cultivate Mercy.
Yeah, amazing. And I think that that's, such a diverse experiences, not only in your callings, how you've been called or where you've given service or been purpose or even just been a naughty boy, but all of those experiences and the travels and your journey into faith, tell me that there must be a part of you that likes to and has an unusual ability to reflect, and maybe you could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, that the reflection to me, of especially self-reflection, is pretty much like the essence of life. Because to learn deeper about myself is, and it's not always the pretty things. It's the things that you're not proud of, but being real about it because it's real in the moment at least, and so being able to acknowledge things and reflect over all of the different experiences, like just I constantly am in reflection, thinking about my childhood, the experiences from the sports, and learning, teamwork dynamics and how to come together, when to rise, and to listen. That's a big thing, and the schooling, dedication, discipline, all of these different things that have are part of what makes me who I am came from all of these different experiences. Like growing up in the Bronx, I never imagined that I'd be on a farm, that I would be a shepherd for a few years, getting into the birthing process of sheep and the slaughtering of chickens and eating what my own hands have grown or prepared. These experiences I never imagined, but they all come together in my being, my qualities, and it's something I'm very grateful for because apparently I have many rare experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's even stuff you've talked about just now that I didn't even know about you. So, man of many different sort of talents. And of course, all of this has culminated in this movement, this faith, this group that you've called Cultivate Mercy. And, even when you first said to me, I've developed something, Cultivate Mercy, even that just spoke to me. I mean, the vibrations around those words, and maybe you could fill us in on why Cultivate Mercy, what that means to you, what are you trying to do with that?
Okay, yeah. So Cultivate Mercy is a movement I started, and is geared to cultivate mercy in the hearts of people through sharing knowledge, experience, and action done through various means: social media, virtual and in-person gatherings, music, poetry, readings, and more. And so it's the idea is to bring five subject matters, I guess, to the forefront, starting with spirituality, service, food justice, homesteading, and agriculture, including herbalism as well. And so the idea is cultivating mercy in our own hearts for ourselves first, and then to each other, and in our environment at the last. So I call it like the pebble in the pond. So when you put a pebble in a pond and it makes the splash and then the ripples go outward, it starts with you and then everything else by extension. And so that's where cultivating is also from my experience with that I really love dealing with the earth. And so that process of the seed germinating, growing, caring, tending to it, weeding, and all of that, to me, is symbolic and ties into the cultivation of our own characters and beings.
So yeah, so if we're cultivating in the sort of farming sense, not that I know anything about farming because I'm a city girl, but if I understand it, it has its season, it has its time, it moves through, it's not sudden, it's about growing, but growing in a proportionate way. There's all the word cultivate to me means growing and tending and caring for and loving and, directing and guiding. But why the word mercy? It's a world full of conflict, and we'd be here all day if we started on that. But why the word mercy?
Mercy is because in my experience, that is what life is. And at the same time, it's what we're all missing out on a lot of. And so, in seeing mercy, that just our experience of you look on the news or some screen or in our day to day life, we can feel that there's something missing, and that mercy is ever present, but we have to open ourselves to it. And so that's that is something in my experience where really learning to be open and to accept mercy, because somehow, some way, we've begun to believe that we're not worthy of it, or that there's this big hurdle we have to, and then we can get that it's not right here right now. And so that's why the word mercy really stands out to me. And whether I made this into a movement, it just for me describes how I move in life and in my intention.
So yes, so I can really resonate with that mercy's missing. Mercy's gone out of business, out of our sort of domination culture societies, out of the sort of competitive, the consumerism, the keep up kind of thing. Keep up. Um and that quality of mercy, if I've understood you, it's available, it's free, it's here, it's right in front of us. But I think I heard you say it requires us to open our hearts to it, or just open to it. Is that?
Yeah, no, that's it's like that's totally it. And there's something I say, like we're all walking around wearing help me signs around our necks in languages we don't understand.
Oh,
So, and one of the beauties of it, in if you can be able to witness that we're all in need of help, is also that it's not our job to be the helper either. Is you can just witness it. That's enough. And if you feel called to move, that's a whole nother part of the journey. But not to feel like there is no compulsion in a way. It's free. It's something that you choose. But being able to witness that is it brings a level of interconnectedness that how we usually perceive or are taught to perceive the world is missing, where we see each other as individuals and not interconnected or woven together.
yeah. So when I hear you say that, it's freely available, but it's even just witnessing, with a merciful spirit, I suppose. Is that what you mean? And then as you said, you could feel called to be of service or to move. But the idea that, what a beautiful way of putting it. We are all walking around with help me signs on. And just the way we say it is very hard to interpret sometimes.
Yes, yes, and we in the way we experience it and interpret it for ourselves is confusing first and foremost, and then to try to convey it when we don't even understand it ourselves. That's why I say it's in languages we can't read. And so sometimes we need help in seeing how much we actually do need help.
That's a really, truly wonderful perspective. So, this series of All Thing Conflict is all about, leadership, and we're going to come on to your experiences in various communities, but, how you've experienced conflict and the way people are together, and perhaps a lack of mercy. So, when I heard you say, it's mercy, sort of 360 degrees, but it starts here, and the pebble and all the rest of it. If I was being merciful to myself first, in order to be able to understand something that I can model, what would I be telling myself if I was merciful to myself?
So first would be a question, and it's like, how am I feeling right now? And in this process, the most important thing to be is truthful and honest, because we can all fake it till we make it, or not. But just really being truthful to what's alive in you in this very moment and honoring it, not necessarily acting upon it, but bearing witness to what's going on for you. And then you can continue to question, well, if I'm feeling angry, why am I feeling angry? And you can go as far as you want to go because I've sat here and going an hour just just and that's a blessing too, just to be able to have that time to do that, because life goes and you don't always have time to stop, but just to pause for at least 5 minutes, a minute, to check in with yourself and then get where you're standing at, and then be able to act from that place.
Mm. So it's about being present, about being truthful to what really is for me in this moment, and noticing, welcoming, feeling the feelings, and then perhaps, deeper sort of mining and deeper excavation, uncovering, and being okay with me in this moment.
Yes, yes, being okay, accepting, because you know I was an imam, and that's a spiritual leadership position. And in spirituality, religion, I mean, the world, whatever values are perceived to be the ideals, sometimes we lie to ourselves. Like, there's this phrase I can't stand, but it's said a lot in like religious circles, that what is it? I'm too blessed to be stressed. And usually the person that is saying that is overwhelmingly stressed in the moment. And the real thing I usually tell people is, you should say, I'm so stressed right now. God, please show me where I'm blessed. Because it's like, instead of
Mm.
avoiding the reality of the present and what you're going through, you try to put this makeup over it. And it
Mm.
doesn't last. It really doesn't last. And so that's a way of like kind of really being open and honest with yourself. And
Yeah, and I liked to, because obviously we have joyful moments and we have sad moments and we have all sorts of things, and the way I talk about that is the grief of being human.
yeah, yes. Yes, and that's it's a beautiful thing, because
Yes.
sometimes the limitation, because I talk to my kids a lot and I say, in my words sometimes it always needs an explanation. I say, we're just limitation. They're like, what do you mean we're not? We could be. I said, no, but experience the limitation that you are, and what a beautiful thing it is, because it is 100% unique. There is no one out there like you, going through exactly what you're going through in this very moment, at every moment. And that's the beauty of the limitation of the human experience, which many of us, for some odd reason, try to get out of, and try to, there's a perceived way to be where we're reaching, but we're not standing in our being. I mean, we're called human beings.
Yes, and what you're talking about is this. Many people are just living in the future. It'll be all right when, or I've got to achieve this, or driving towards something or avoiding something, or but always what's coming round the corner, instead of standing in where I am, who I am, and it's okay. And it might feel sad, it might feel happy, it might feel tragic, it might be joyful, it might be full of blessings, it could be all of those things, and not either or, all of them at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, no, because life is not static. And
Yeah,
that's when we think of something, it's a snapshot of something that's fluid in constant flux.
yeah.
And so that's another limitation, is like, and acknowledging these periods and knowing that it continues on, it doesn't stop. And so, to, as much as we can, stay in the flux and not be caught up, whether it's a past thing or a future thing,
Hmm.
but taking it all in as much as we can in each moment.
So when I hear you speak about this, and then we come back to cultivate mercy, it just makes, for me, it makes sense. It resonates. It has a beauty to it. And this word mercy is falling out of of our language, isn't it? I mean, where do you hear the word mercy anymore? I certainly don't hear it in the justice system anywhere. And I'm around the justice system. I don't hear anyone using the word mercy. And it's a really important and powerful part of our human experience.
Extremely, and like you said, there's a loss of the use of the term. Even, I mean, I think someone said recently that an American quality that was our weakness was empathy. I said, that's insane. Like, how is that a weakness? Like, to be able to empathize, and that's, at some point synonymous with like being merciful. And so this idea of us experiencing its loss is definitely one of the inspirations to get out there and try to promote and share this knowledge and cultivate mercy with all I come in contact with.
Amazing. I mean, what a place to end up, especially after some of your experiences. And now, I do want to turn to, this series is about leadership. And you know only too well what happens in communities and how communities gather and the kinds of messes that people create or get themselves into. And so I'd love to come back to, with all this in mind, you know, why is it and how is it that communities can generate so much conflict? And even when they go under the guise of spiritual or faith-based.
Well, yeah, I believe a lot of the start off points that sometimes get missed is defining the perception or the worldview that there's, what I call apples, you're calling oranges, and so we don't have the same language, even though we're speaking the same English. We're not using the same definitions for the same terms, and so people, I say we all share the same planet, but we don't all share the same world because we're in our own worldviews and perceptions, though we share the same planet and community. The idea is that we come together with our uniquenesses, but also a commonality that we share. And if that isn't really established at the forefront, it's a recipe for disaster. And so there's like even like the terms leadership. What does that mean? Like, because that's something one I don't really like. I don't care for the term leadership because of so much misunderstanding. People think it means better than, and then I say it's not better than. It's just a role to be fulfilled amongst many roles in the dynamics of how we're existing together. And so when a person carries that, there's a letting go or a giving up of your own power, so to speak, to this idea and a concept. And so when someone sees someone as a leader, they don't necessarily, sometimes they give up their own self-governing existence and their own independent leadership, where there is a part where you do that, and then a wise leader doesn't take that from you. They give it back to you.
Oh, how beautiful. Oh, yes, a wise leader. So even if you are weak or whatever, or you want to defer to that leadership, a wise leader gives it back to you. Abdul Karim, how amazing to hear that.
Yeah, because I've seen circumstances where, and sometimes it happens without people being aware, because a lot of times we're so in the doing mode that we're not even aware of how we're being in our doing. And so we're just do, and we're not of conscious of, I just gave up my, what I say, God-given sovereignty, that we
Mm-hmm.
each individually have God-given sovereignty, and is honoring that in each other, that we can come together. But when we other a person, as seeing them as other than the same in that way, that creates separation. And the reality is that we're really interconnected, and separation is an illusion. It's a psychological, it's a veil, as we say in like Sufism. The separation is a veil. And so these dynamics in community, if we allow them, that's a big ownership that we allow these titles, these perceived powers divide us from the unity that we're actually existing in each moment, and that's what creates the conflict.
Yeah, so I heard you say that, you don't like the word leadership, and it makes total sense to me. And, sometimes I like to use the terminology that's out there because it's really important for people, to connect at some level. But I think, it really is worth saying, for me, I don't like this term leadership because of the connotations of it, because we'd have to spend a whole week trying to work out what do we mean, how much power does that give me? Does it give me power over you, or are you going to give up your power to me? Which is, what frankly you're saying. So I just like to talk about people who have additional responsibilities. So some people have these responsibilities, and some people have those responsibilities. And even if we were working in a cooperative, even if we said, we deny hierarchy, you'd still have to have some, because some people are going to have additional responsibilities that bump them up against the tax collector or the person you're paying the bills to. There's always an outside system that can come along and punish you. You've got to have proper governance in place to satisfy an external system. Even if you're not playing with that, someone's going to come along and say, well, you can't be part of this then, or we'll punish you for this. So there will be hierarchy in as much as who's put in there, who's signing the forms, who takes those risks. And how do we respect each other for that and not see that as something that gives me an advantage over others?
Yes, yes, or put someone above you
Yeah.
that you have to capitulate towards them in a way that's dishonoring to your own God-given sovereignty.
So I have a question for you, and it's a big question, and you may or may not have any kind of answer for it. But we've seen time and time again when people gather and they want to form community of some description, whether it's an intentional or a faith based or some kind of communal being together. Why does it always end up with fights?
That's a part of our collective growing process. Because
Right.
even though we want to get out of, we don't want to have conflicts, it's going to happen. And like one of the things I said in the community I was a part of, I said, treat this like a dance. We're both learning a new dance together. We're going to step on each other's toes, hopefully not intentionally, so that we know that that's going to happen. So when it does, we recognize, okay, I stepped on your toe or you stepped on mine. Let's go get to the first aid kit, patch it up, and continue to work the dance out until we get better at the steps. And we bring, I think you said it on another podcast, that we bring our experiences like to work, or we bring our past into whatever it is in this being a community. So everyone who's going through whatever they've experienced in life coming together to try to make something happen, naturally conflicts will arise, and the challenge is how do we rise to deal with the conflict.
Mm. Absolutely. And of course, we've done some work on this together, haven't we? And maybe you could talk a little bit about that, your experience of it.
My experience was very, from what you taught with the DRM, that was very eye-opening to me because there's two qualities that I believe is very essential in overcoming conflicts, and one main one is to learn how to listen, to really put, like, for example, me, and they say, I was just talking to my daughter about this. I've been studying Islam for however 25 plus years. If I go up to somebody and I ask them, what is Islam? All the 25 years that I've studied and everything I experienced, that's not even in my brain. I'm empty listening to whatever they have to say. Maybe I agree, maybe I don't, but it doesn't matter. What really matters is what is going to come out of this person's mouth so I can understand what I'm presently with right now. Not all these years of studying, but what I'm with right now. And that's what I gained more of from, the dialogue room uh, assessing needs. You really have to listen and not be in your own head while someone is communicating to you, because you have to be fully present to really take it in. And I mean, that's given me leaps and bounds of joy to use throughout my life outside of, the engagement where we met.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it's been a really wonderful journey to, watching each other develop and move, and even though we live in different societies, if you like, for me, what's wonderful is being able to find commonality, shared humanity with anybody, with absolutely anybody. It's always possible. So tell me a bit about, we're coming to the end of our time together. God, this has flown so quickly. But I really want to talk about the music, the Cultivate Mercy and the things, the ingredients, if you like.
Okay, so the first project with Cultivate Mercy that I really put out was an album. I put it out in April. The first one is entitled Project Inspire, and it's a rap album. Is performed by me, and the general theme is reflected in the title Project Inspire. I don't listen to music 100% and definitely not like I used to, but what I have heard has lacked a lot of positive vibes, a lot of it's lacked inspiring, or it just that positivity and connectivity, and also thought provoking is something that I'd like to spark in each individual who listens to the album. And so it's to inspire you to ask questions, questions of yourself, questions of your society, questions of how you're raised, and your own thought processes. And it's a journey. Each different track is a journey that I'm sharing from my own journey, and then something that I hope can vibrate or connect with the listener at some point in time. Because, like you said, that shared humanity is something that we're all experiencing, but we don't take the time to actually connect and share or allow ourselves to be open enough, because we put up so many walls sometimes. And so there's that album, and the second album, which just came out a week ago. And this was an experience because I know not everyone is into rap, so I really want the message to just be out there. So I use different genres, and I wrote every song, but I actually use AI, artificial intelligence, to do the performing of the song. So the person, quote unquote, that you hear singing, and whether it's the pop, the R&B, different, it's not an actual person. So that was an experience, and I plan on writing about that, just using AI in that way and the benefits, and just AI period. But that was to get, again, the same positive vibe out there, the same thought provoking questions, and a good vibe to move your body and dance to at the same time. It's like I feel that kind of music, maybe you can call it soul music, has gone away, and I hope to inspire to get a thirst for it again, or just to have that experience and share it with others.
And these lyrics that, invite us to be closer, invite us to know ourselves, invite us to go deeper. So something we can all gather round.
Yeah, the lyrics are definitely. I mean, if you are in the hip hop rap genre, you can understand more. And God willing, I'm gonna actually put lyrics so that people who may not get each word can be able to read the lyrics on it. Because that album is available on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, the more known. The AI album is only available on my website, themanofreal.net. And that's just because there's a whole thing going on with AI music and whether it's allowed to be licensed and things of that nature. But those lyrics, I believe, are more, you can hear it more because it's being sung to you at a slower pace, and some of the
Mm-hmm.
cadence of the rap might be fast. So it's just that enjoyment.
Yeah, thank you. Well, look, I don't know how the time disappeared so quickly, but this has been absolutely marvellous. And just, you're adding a whole nother dimension. And especially, what I'm really taking away is we need to bring this word mercy and being merciful back into society, back into our workplaces, back into our communities. So thank you for bringing that to us. And, I'm sure we'll do a much deeper conversation at some point if you're willing. But thank you for what you've shared with us.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure just being able to share.
Thank you. Lots of love to you. Take care and to the family. Bye.
Bye.